or do all of those sort of things in the first instance, and then hopefully from there they can work within the relevant processes to get the Mayor and the Executive of Council to do what they want to have happen as well on your behalf. So we thought it was very reasonable and fair for us to engage with the councillor candidates. So thank you all that are sitting here at the front. So let's give them all a round of applause. Well done, congratulations. So what we'll do is we'll start with a 2-minute introduction each. We think they have a couple of candidates here that are eager to get moving for other commitments. So we'll get started, if it's all right with everybody, with Kesa, and then Brett, and then we'll just continue moving down the line. And if you've got any questions after that for each of the candidates, we'll then take those questions and we'll record them live to our audience there. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. You know, I'm sitting here this afternoon, I really feel emotional and also get annoyed a little bit. Because why is it has to be election when we come together like this for the community engagement, for people to raise their voices? This is not good. All the councillors in every division, they should have a regular meetings, engagement with their division. That is very important. And I think when I get elected, and I'm saying this for the last 6 months, and I've been campaigning, standing at RGA everywhere, I said, if I get elected, I'll be everywhere, because I have lots of energy and I deeply care about our communities. I want to be seen everywhere, helping out and do things for the people and the communities. My name is Kesa, Strieby. I'm probably the only brown face you can see on the road. I'm originally from Fiji. I came from, I'm married to Marcus. My husband is from Switzerland. We have a 36-year-old, 3 grandchildren. We moved here from Jordan, after Jordan, Egypt. So we've lived in 10 different countries before we arrived in Cairns, and I didn't know anyone in Cairns. So I get involved with the Cairns Region Multicultural Association. That's why it gets me to connect to everyone in Cairns. And also, I grew up with parents. They're very involved in communities back home. My dad was a police officer, my mom was a community worker, and they love people and they're always helping out people around us. I follow their legacy, I continue their legacy wherever I am. In every country we've been to, I'm always helping out in the community's charity organization, and I also work and supporting my husband as well. So I'm running because I deeply care about our Cairns communities and the people. I've been involved in Karma for the last going on to 19 years, and I've been a chair for 9 years. Karma is the umbrella association for more than 45 community groups in the Cairns region. I organize the Multicultural Festival every year. I establish the Youth Festival, International Women's Day. And I've worked in youth safety, child safety, and I'm sitting with Mission Australia on Child Protection Week as well, and a member of a lot of community groups. So I'm getting, because I really cared about the community safety, the youth as well, that I need to get in there and help and get these kids into place in development, working with the state government and develop the holistic and life skill programs. In the Fijian community, I was the founder, and we are doing a lot of youth projects as well, and many other communities. So right now, I am listening to people, and I'm also delivering. Because I have that background as working with my aged care sector for many years. So I am advocating for all the seniors out in the community. They need home care packages, they need affordable housing, and also for the youth, we have the community engagements. For the women, they ask for more community events. So I am implementing what people want me to do. I'm not waiting for the election, because I'm here, I'm passionate about the community and the people. I don't care about the election, if I get in or not. I am here for the people and the community, and I'm continuing to do that in serving the community. I'm a community servant, I'm not a politician. Okay? So, and also in April, the International Women's Day that we used to have in the city, we're moving it to Edmonton. And in April, a partnership with PCYC, we're going to have the Youth Music Festival. A lot of platforms. This is a platform for our children to showcase their talents through music, performing, dancing, and everything. So
thank you, Kesa.
Thank you, Aaron.
We've got
2 minutes is not enough.
I know, exactly. But thank you so much for doing a great job cramming all of that information in there, and your presentation was fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Brett?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Aaron, and to the fellow candidates, welcome. Great to see you here. I do have to go, so I just want to be very quick and try and get my message out. Terry has talked about the unity, vision and policy around crime. We've got it up there as you walk out if you'd like to read that. I was elected in 2016, very close election with a very strong community advocate, and I do acknowledge Sandra here today. Was re-elected in 2020 and again running in 2024 unopposed, and I'm very humbled about that. Sandra has continued with her advocacy as the proprietor of Pyramid News, which is a wonderful community newspaper that gets the information for community out there, and it has grown, and I also get to do my council piece with that, so I do very much appreciate that. Just in respect to our crime, in respect to our policy, I talked to Terry about the wording zero tolerance. And I accept, and it's very important what Paul has said and Terry has said about we don't want to have a cost transfer between state to council on policing matters, but we need to look at preventative. Zero tolerance is where we are as a community and how we feel. It was Rudy Giuliano in New York City back in 1993, one of the worst cities for murders, rapes, stealing. The community had enough, and he approached zero tolerance. And what he did there was it was between policing, the judiciary and the community. And I feel that's where we are. As a community, it's full stop. We're just sick and tired of recidivist offenders. We're tired of the magistrates having to look at detention as a last resort. We need to message our state parliamentarians to change that legislation so that we as a community can feel much safer. So what Terry and what Unity are doing is saying that advocacy is important because the principles of sentencing of punishment, deterrent, rehabilitation, denunciation and community safety is a big F for fail. So going into 2024, this is probably one of the key areas, and that's why this forum has been formed here today. And we're taking a very serious approach in zero tolerance, together with the preventative measures we can take as a council, which is outlined in our policy. Again, what Terry has talked about, Nikki will talk about, and our policy is written there. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Brett. John?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you might know me from my time as the councillor here between 2012 and 2020. Before I became a councillor, there was no Walker Road sporting precinct. There was no upgrade over at Peterson Park. Those things went ahead because of the work that I did as a councillor here. We had some other things to do. I got people from down at the motocross club. Okay, sorry, from down at the motocross club, and they had a problem. They had 200 or 300 young kids, and they looked like folding. They asked me what we could do as a council, and I managed to go and get $100,000 out of a sport and rec team. With that, we did about $300,000 worth of work, and we kept those kids down there. We don't have them running around our roads. We don't have them out there on our parks and our other sporting fields. That's what they were doing before I got into council. So I'm not here to tell you that I'm going to save the world or do any of this sort of stuff. But I look back at the things that we did, and we did it as a team, as a community. Okay? When we did the job up here at Peterson Park, we finished up a little bit of land left over. I convinced the council to go ahead and do a subdivision there. That returned $930,000 back to council. So that's money that ratepayers didn't have to find. With the PCYC, when we had them installed up at Walker Road, I volunteered at the PCYC. $20,000 a year was going back for my volunteering, running from martial arts classes up there, and that went on for 5 years. So that's nearly $100,000 going back into the community. So I'm about practical things that we can put back into our community, how we can help, how we can keep the rates down, how we can keep our costs under control. Now the Mayor sort of just waved it off there when I asked about the costs in council. We've got an extra 130 odd staff there. That's nearly $30 million going back onto your rates every year that we're paying for those staff. Now many of these staff have come up with the current CEO. They were not people that were here before. And many of these people are on very good money. And I'm talking between $180,000 to $250,000 a year. Okay? We need to take control of that budget back again. And we need to do it by stopping any more staff being put on. We need a stop. We need 12 months, no more staff going on. We have around about, every year, council loses about 10% of its staff. If we can do that and get that back under control, then we put that back in the hands of the people. Because this is just going to get out of control, bigger and more, because these people don't care about your money. They think it's all theirs. But we're the ones paying the bill. Okay? So I ask for your support at the coming election on the 16th of March. I've been there, I've done this. Last time we got in 2012, we sacked the CEO within 6 weeks. Okay? And we took control of what we could do in council. She wasn't telling us what to do. We were telling them, the officers, what to do.
Great.
Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you, John. Matthew Tickner.
Hello, thank you for staying around. My name is Matthew Tickner. I'm the independent candidate for Division 2. When I first put my hand up 8 months ago and told people that I was going to run for council, a lot of people said, mate, I think you need a few more grey hairs before the community might get behind you. And my response to that was, that's how we've gotten into the mess we've gotten into in Division 2. Division 2 has suffered from a lack of energetic representation, which has resulted in our fair share of attention being lost, our community in constant search for leadership, and our on-the-ground outcomes are not getting the results that ratepayers in Division 2 deserve. I may be one of the younger candidates, but I've packed a lot into my career, and I believe I am the candidate with the most to offer. I'm raising a young family in Mount Sheridan. I run a small engineering business. I've got 15 years of experience in infrastructure design, and I've risen to the top of local advocacy bodies like the Cairns Chamber of Commerce, where I've spent 5 years as the Vice President. I'm now looking to energise our representation in Division 2. I want to fight for better investment in infrastructure. You know, we've got school kids crossing Mount Peter Road with no pathways, no crossings. We've got school kids trying to cross Bicentennial Road, and we've got issues around the safety of infrastructure. We've got ageing infrastructure. Our water mains need replacement. We're putting band-aids on areas that we need to invest money into. I want to initiate a three-pronged council approach to supporting crime reduction. I do believe council have a role to play in the crime matrix, and it's time that we feel safe in our homes. I want to provide a new way forward for our local parks and playgrounds. Speaking to a mother, Renee, in Kingfisher Estate last week, she's just looking for a safe and engaging place to take her 2 boys on a weekend without having to travel across town. This all comes down to council's core responsibilities: improving the quality of lifestyle for every resident in our community. It's time we remove politics and team games from council, stop trying to fix the world's problems, and bring council back to the basics of quality service delivery. The community can rest assured that if you support me in March, I'll bring the experience, I'll bring the enthusiasm, and I'll bring the energy back to representation in the south of Cairns. Thanks, everybody.
We'll just go through this and then we'll come back to questions, John, and then you can respond to individual candidates. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks. I'm just going to step in now so we continue on with the Division 2 candidates. My name is Nikki Giumelli and I'm running as part of the Unity team. I wanted to give you a bit of a history about myself. To start with, I live in Division 2 with my partner Patrick and our 3 teenage children. I've had a long history in running small businesses. We moved to Cairns about 14 years ago, and about 10 years ago we launched the Bad Fishy jet boat and Cairns boat hire down in the Mollor Marina. So that's part of my kind of work history, but prior to that I'd also owned other small businesses in Australia and have an educational background as well. I was a high school teacher in my early days, and in Cairns I taught at JCU. We sold Bad Fishy and Cairns boat hire last year, so we had navigated COVID, and during that time I was a really active advocate, not just for the tourism industry, but for small businesses as well. And I worked with all different levels of government, and I actually really enjoyed that process. I've also been on the regional community forum with the state government, and I've had lots of access to ministers, having difficult conversations, and also advocating for things that are really important to us in our community, like crime strategy as an example. And I found them very receptive to very honest and grassroots advocacy. Often you need to come with a solution to them so that we can have meaningful discussions. Right now I've decided to run with the Unity team, and I will tell you that I've found it an exceptional experience. They value my own independent thought, and I say that very honestly. I've really enjoyed working with them over the last few months. Living here in Division 2, I've been speaking to many of you. I've been door knocking, shopping centres, I've been at Neighbourhood Watch, PNCs, AGMs of our sports club. Most people love living here, and I love living here too. What people are asking for is a councillor that will come to the party and look at the basics, the roads, the issues that we need to report on, and then the bigger picture things as well, cost of living and crime. And I think that there's a role for both in council. I am really committed to being a very grassroots councillor. That's where I want to be. Available for conversations, listening to your feedback. It's what I've loved about my work career to date, and it's what I really want to do moving forward as well. So I would invite you to use this time over the next few weeks. If you've still got questions or want to connect, to do so. I'll hang back later if you do want to have a chat about anything as well. And I thank you all for your time and for sticking around today. Thank you.
Kate, our Division 4, I think sole Division 4 candidate here today. Thank
He's
you,
a little disorganised actually, so I'll start with a bit about myself. My name is Kate Mahoney, and I've lived in Cairns for 33 years. I've lived in the suburbs of Division 4 for over 20. My background is predominantly public service, federal and state, and I hold a qualification in law, which I got from JCU in 2006, and I was admitted in the Supreme Court in Canberra in 2009. I've worked in the education sector at TAFE. I was a customs officer for 16 years, so I have a background in law enforcement as well. And currently I'm a protocol officer for the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet and Foreign Affairs, and I've held that role for over 15 years. And I'm very nervous. I nominated or sort of told people my intention to run for council was back in October last year. And my neighbours and many in the community have always pushed me to run for council because I'm a very community-focused person. I've been very heavily involved in the sporting arena, particularly basketball and AFL, and was president of Women's AFL for 5 years. I sit on the tribunal for Cairns AFL and Casa's, and advocate for sport as a great avenue for our youth, disengaged youth to engage back in community. I've been in conversations with Mark Harbrow in recent weeks about how we can progress some of his projects in relation to disengaged youth. But I do have a story to tell, a good story to tell. About 20 years ago at Cairns Basketball, Joel Carlu instigated the Midnight Hoops program, and I gave up my Friday nights partying to go and help these kids learn how to engage with community again, learn basketball. And the bus used to pick them all up from Manura and Manunda, bring them into basketball. Well, 3 weeks ago, a man walked into Cairns Basketball and came in and said, "Thank you for Midnight Basketball." Had it not been for that project, he would have gone down a different route. He now is a youth worker with Indigenous and non-Indigenous disengaged youth. So for me, from a very nervous me, I'm all about Division 4 becoming a more improved area that doesn't just have infrastructure, but it has activities that our families and our youth can engage in, that we have safe parks and paths. We have a very big ageing population in my division, we don't have a lot of footpaths. Our roads are rat runs and used as a traffic thoroughfare from the southern suburbs to the northern suburbs and vice versa. So I would like to see the rates, roads and rubbish is the basic thing, and for me it's safety in parks, paths and roads. And any questions I'll stay after and you can ask me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kate. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to have now is the questions session. So if you've got a specific question to the councillors, please put your hand up and ask. Yes, sir?
My name is Glenn. I've been here. This is working? Yeah. Turn right. Hello, my name is...
Is this turned off here?
Is this one? Yeah.
We can hear you, Glenn.
Okay, I've got a pretty strong voice anyway. Okay. How about I use my voice?
It's just waking up.
You tricked us again.
Is this karaoke? Yes. Because I can't sing to save myself. I've been around here for 40 years now, and I have a lot of friends who are teachers, doctors, electricians, plumbers, and I think we probably regard ourselves as a reasonably intelligent mob. There's one question: you can be at a party or whatever with all of your friends and you say, who is your local councillor? And you know you'll stump them. And I'm very, very serious about that, because they'll all go, who's your councillor? Well, I don't know. So the question is, how is it there is a massive disconnect between our politicians, federally, state and local? You've lost the community. You have to do something about it, because when you get there, you're disconnected. And suddenly you think because you were elected, you've got a clear mandate. You don't. You get a clear mandate by talking to the people that voted you in. So please, connect with the people that put you in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think there was a question in there about how are you going to connect better with your community?
As I said before, hi Glenn, good to see you again. As mentioned about the community, regular meetings. I believe it is very important to have these community engagement regular meetings, and it's one of my policy priorities. If I get elected, I want to have this session all the time. It's very important. Communications, and a lot of seniors do not have access to internet. You know, it'll be nice for them to come along and listen to what we have to say. Just regular meetings and newsletters. That's also one of it. I actually also have a community radio program that runs from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on every Saturday. So whatever is happening on Cairns South now, I'm promoting it on the radio station as well. So those are the platforms that we can use. More regular meetings is very important to me.
Thank you. I think as an incumbent, I've always said an incumbent councillor doesn't win an election in the last 3 months or 1 month. It's what you do from day one. And certainly that's what I took on in being elected. I'm very prevalent in my community. They see me driving around the Bretmobile, and when they say, you're staying out of trouble, I said, sometimes it follows me. And they said, well, you got your name on your car like that, they're going to find you. But that really has proved to be a great asset to me, because Division 1 is it is the biggest division, whether I'm in Babinda or Gordonvale. When they see my car, they know I'm on town, they ring me, they contact me. And it's about engaging. I go to the Gordonvale markets every month, have my little table and chair. I get wonderful engagement there. Attend the chamber, the community meetings, Progress Association. So you've got to be part of your community. and you've got to be accessible. That's what your residents expect, and you take that grassroots feedback, you listen, and then you go and do what you can do as a councillor. Thank you.
All right, John. Musical chairs here, you've done well.
Great sides. Just coming back, getting about volunteering and getting out there in the community. When I was the councillor here previously, I attended just about every PNC meeting at every school, not just pick and choose. I was at all the schools. Nan down here knows the work that I used to do. If it came down, I was at any club that wanted me to go, I was at any neighbourhood watch meeting where they wanted me to go. I'm still chairman of the local ambulance committee. As being chairman of the local ambulance committee, we've provided many defibrillators to different clubs. In fact, the Bowls Club here is just one of the people that have benefited from us, the men's shed. These are things that I created here. We didn't have a men's shed before I was a councillor. We didn't have the works down here. We've now got a men's shed down Thompson Road. We've now got another shed there that they actually store all the things for the museum in town. And the men's shed does up these exhibits for the museum in town. Many people don't even know that exists. I found places for our other groups. We've got an aero club down there at Thompson Road. Did anyone know there was an aero club down there? No. I found a home down here in fact, before Brett came in, we virtually didn't have a councillor working down in Division 1. The then councillor was a colonel in the reserves. He was being called back up by the military to train people to go to Iraq and Iran. So I got to do the work down there as well. Okay? We had the administered school down there, Brett. You might remember. Okay? Before Brett became a councillor, they approached me. They had troubles down there because they were buying land that was part of had a high agricultural land value, right? So, but I thought a school down there is going to be a whole lot better. We're going to have jobs down there, we're going to have people down there, we're going to have new kids, new people moving the area. So getting out there in the community, you get out into every part of the community. It's not whether it's in your division or someone else's division. Over here, Peterson Park that I talked about before, that's not in my division, that's in Brett's division. It didn't stop me getting out there and getting them the funding to do the work over there. If you like, I've got some brochures here that I hand out. If you'd like to go through the things that I've done there, you can see how much I've been involved in this community. So I'll let that.
Thank you, John. Matt?
I love the premise of the question at the start. Through a lot of the feedback that I've had, it's pretty evident why our local councillor is shifting and running in a different division. He just hasn't been around. Council is the ground level, right? When we look at our tiers of government, we are the ground level, and therefore we need to be as close to the community as possible. It is a bit more difficult when our state members and our federal members, they have a much larger area. They can't be as granular. Councillors can be and should be. I think I've done about 11 or 12 listening posts at different shopping centres over the 8 months of this election. That will not stop if I get elected. I will be down at the shops. I will be available for people. And there's a good example of a councillor doing that. I look at someone like Cathy Zeiger in Division 3. She's down in Division 2 painting walls with the kids from the Clontarf Foundation. Why? Because our councillor's not here, and that needs to stop. So if I'm elected, I'll be as valuable as you will possibly need me. You'll see me walking along the streets, you'll see me down at the local bowls club, you'll see me at the shopping centre, and it's all about getting that community-led decision making, but you have to be available.
Excuse me, are you going to be a full-time or?
Yes.
So you're giving up your job? You're going to close your business?
I'm a sole contractor, so my job is just me taking on projects. If I take on council,
You have to realise how much is in it.
I 100%. That's why I'm running.
Okay, thank you. All right, we had a sneaky little question in there. There you go.
Thank you. I think that's a great question. And I also think organically you have people that actually really enjoy that. And that's what I really enjoy. So I bring to the party, I feel like the smarts and the ability and the capacity, but also a really authentic enjoyment of that. That's why I'm already out there doing it now. And regardless of whether I win the election or not, I will have taken that as a massive win from this project and this process of going through election, that I've met so many outstanding people in our community, develop the relationships, know what's happening on the ground at grassroots, and I'll continue to do that. But certainly I really hope that it's in that capacity of councillor, and I really hope that whoever gets in there does do that as well, because that's what we need. We need an understanding what is happening on the day-to-day in our community, what the people are thinking, what they're saying, what issues they're encountering. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Here you go, Kate. This is your go.
Well, the people that know me know that I'm a very community-focused person. As I previously said, a big presence in the sporting arena. I was the game night coordinator for the Taipans for 7 years. So I go around town and invariably I get stopped in the shopping centres because everyone stops to say hello to me. I believe as a councillor you should be available to your constituents at any time within reasonable times. Because I think a lot of people in the community don't quite understand the role of a councillor and what councillors can and can't do. But it's important to get that message out to them and educate our community, because as the previous candidates have said, people don't know who their councillors are. They don't know what council does. They think that we can move parking meters and we can do that, when councillors can't do that. But we are a board of people making decisions on behalf of the community. For me, I am passionate about the community. I give up my time freely for anyone. I was the team leader for the Commonwealth Games basketball, Pampax para swimming, and if people need something done, they come to me because they know that Kate can get it done or do her damnedest to get it done. So I will be available whenever people need me. In fact, I field calls now, I get emails asking me my thoughts and how I can assist them, and I direct them to the right people. My background is in consumer law as well. I was here with the Office of Fair Trading for a long time, as some people know, and I am passionate about helping people and standing up for their rights across the board. So, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so any other questions? Yes, Dennis. Aren't you a mayoral candidate, Dennis? You're welcome to, but I love the dynamics of this engagement.
He's written at 50, is that all? Look, I just wanted to ask a question about roads, rates and rubbish, not roads and not rates. And this is not for Brett, this is because I saw his letter in the Cairns Post. It's really about the rubbish issue. I just would love to hear, at that granular level, I would love to hear each of your views, not Brett's, because I saw his letter in the Cairns Post. We know what Brett's views are, particularly the other people, in relation to the smart green economy and the circular economy in relation to huge issue, waste in our community and waste in your divisions. And what ideas do you have to improve this issue? And that is a really basic question around that, the 3 R's, but this one particularly around green waste and rubbish. Thank you.
Oh, Kate's jumping straight out of the blocks on this one. Okay, great.
Well, a lot of people, some people know me for the recyclable economy, because I had a stall at the Holloway's Beach Market and at the Warri Market, and I sold recyclables, a lot of retro collectibles. I am passionate about recycling and investing, or where possible, in installing free green waste collection weekly or fortnightly. It works in the big cities down south, and green waste is a real problem for us. Walking the streets of my division, the amount of green waste in the gutters and on the curbs, and people just don't have the capacity to take it even to the tip when it's free. The other thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see Cairns introduce hard rubbish collections, and maybe twice a year, never through the wet season, but they are so successful down south where more often than not, people around the community get rid of the rubbish for you by taking it out, and they recycle it, and then we do hard rubbish. But we have a lot in the community who are in apartments, elderly who do not have the facilities to take it to the tip. So I really think it's important that what we do is investigate the costs involved around hard rubbish collection. But you know, you could get a calendar up. We do the Northern Beaches one lot, you do the middle and south, and you do this calendar where everyone knows when the hard rubbish collections are. And trust me, if you look at my place, there'll be very good hard rock shed at my house, so that's mine.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kate. That would be great for the hoarders too, I'd imagine.
Sorry?
The hoarders might like a couple of those things too, I'd say.
That is one of the plan if Tim Eden elected. Is one of the our plan is to do free waste disposal, and also I think it's very good. I was 9 years advocating for our seniors as a program manager. The seniors, if they are 65 years and over, Operation and Torres Strait Islanders 50 and over, you are eligible to get your green waste, get a skip bins to your property if you have something to be disposed. If you want to know more about that, please contact me. I can advocate for you to, the service provider is doing that. I stepped down from my 9 years job with as a program manager last year because I am going for this campaign and I need the time in the world to knock into everybody's door. So please, that is available. There's some service providers as well assisting families if you want your green waste to be picked up from your home. Please let me know. I can talk to you more and send a referral to the service provider and the staff that they can help you with that.
Thank you for that. Would anyone else like to answer that question regarding waste and rubbish? Yes. Would you mind bringing the microphone with you when you come? It's in front of Matt. Yes, thank you.
I hope so.
Can you hear me? Everybody okay? Thank you, that's a great question. And it's actually an area of real interest and passion for me as well, Dennis. So I think everything's measured with financial analysis and the demand as well. So, you know, the Unity perspective is certainly considering what it looks like in that framework. I've had a long history in working in waste management in the tourism industry and small business, and particularly in what we do with things like food waste and green waste. And in terms of the circular economy as well, there's a lot of small businesses and a lot of families that are doing wonderful, wonderful things. I think there's a role with council to provide additional education on what that might look like for them. It can be small initiatives from composting that make a big difference as well. So we acknowledge that there's also a role for council and education in that space, and certainly we are hearing that constituents are wanting green waste bins as well, so that's something that is on the table for consideration from our perspective also. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've got another respondent here for you, Dennis. John?
Yeah. Just while I'm thinking, what Nikki just said about the education on this matter. Look, council has this great bloke. His name's Scotty Patterson. And Scotty goes around to all the schools and teaches the kids about all this sort of stuff. But if you've got young kids, you would have known about that. But I've got to tell you, he is absolutely passionate about his job. He's out there, you know, all the time. Now, in terms of this other, just to make it everyone understand, free is not free. Someone pays for it somewhere along the line. So no matter whether you see it on the television, they're saying, oh, wait, you get more, it's free. Nothing is free. You are paying for it somewhere, whether it's in your rates, whether it's, you know, extra costs that you pay in fees at the dump, these sorts of things. So there is no such thing, Dennis, as free. But do I think we have certain people in the community? You're quite right. People possibly our age, if I can say that, Dennis, you know, who don't have access to a ute, who can't get it, and are having to pay commercial contractors to come in. That gets added onto their cost. And while it might be free to go through into the dump with it, if you're commercial, it's not. So somewhere along the line, we've got to come up with a system that's going to allow people to take advantage of the so-called free dumping. But there is no real free dumping because we're all paying for it somewhere in the cost of running the council. So I just want to put that one to rest. You know, you've got to remember, when someone says it's free, someone's paying, and it's usually you.
What do you think of my business supposed about a voucher system?
I don't think that's a bad idea at all. And I thought when I read it, I thought, look, they used to have that sort of thing, I believe. That used to be around. So whether you get 4 vouchers a year or whether you get this, particularly if you happen to be a pensioner or living on your own, you know, that sort of thing, because as you get older, you just don't have the strength anymore to go and do stuff. So usually you've got to pay someone to come in, cut it for you, so the extra costs are always mounting on the person there. Yes, council might say it's free. It's not.
Can I just ask Fred, who is in council present here today, is there anything like that now being offered for people who come into there? We say nothing's free, but something happens in our rates.
No, that's right. 4 times a year we advertise at free green waste. It covers 2 weekends. It's about 40 days. Currently, that's at a cost of about $750,000 per annum to council. And to John's point, that's what we're saying. It's not actually free. It's got to be budgeted for. It's absorbed in the budget in other costs and charges. Certainly voucher systems. That was something I raised, I think, in Cyclone Niran, a cyclone we didn't have apparently, and we had a number of aged people that couldn't clean up their yards. I was successful in getting council to assist there, but bear in mind when we have a natural disaster like that, some of that is recovery money that we can apply for, but otherwise it's a service, it's a fee for service. And of course we try and address those that are vulnerable, but it's got to be budgeted for, and it's got to be not impacting on your rates and charges, because you'll always come back to us each time they go out to make sure you're getting value for money. Obviously a lot more I can talk about with that, but I won't for the sake of time.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Dennis, for the question. And do we have another questioner? Oh, geez, we've got hands going up. Wonderful. Where should I've got a lady with a microphone, Perry. I'll come to you next, and if you don't mind, I'll come to you then after. Is that okay? So, from the back there.
Yeah, I've just got a question. I've got 2 actually. I want to know, when are we going to get a pool in Edmonton? Because we lost it from over here 10 years ago. We haven't got a pool. I mean, our school children, our learn to swim budget is swallowed up by bus fares. Our children aren't getting the lessons that they should be getting, or the value for it. My second point is, if you ever drive up Mount Peter Road in an afternoon or morning, the number of school children who nearly get killed going from McLeod College along that road is ridiculous. It's only a matter of time. When are you going to extend Mount Peter Road through Walker Road?
Who would like to start on that one?
Before John gets the mic and talks about Edmonton Pool, I actually designed the Edmonton Pool, so I was the lead civil designer for the pool back when I worked with GHD. So the designs are all there, it's 100% done, ready to be built out front of Sugar Worlds. Where did it go? The money was stripped by council and pushed into the overruns of the CBD project. So I will have a slight dig at the Unity team have come out and they've announced a new look into their aquatic facilities. They're paying more consultants to tell them what they already should know, which is it's viable. And now they're talking about the Edmonton Pool again, which, you know, yeah. So I've attended all the P&C meetings for all the schools in the division, and they've told me that they're constantly looking for facilities. So if you go down to Warrie Pool of the daytime, you'll see it's chock-a-block full of kids from the local schools. So a lot of people don't realise that the schools actually utilise these facilities a lot, and so there is a need for it. So I definitely want to bring Edmonton Pool back onto the forefront of conversation for Division 2, and we look at how we can tie that into other services that we're putting into Division 2. The second question. Yes. I've had a lot of feedback on this, and I actually sent the school an email a little while ago. I haven't had a response yet, so I have to follow it up on the movements of their kids and how they interact with Mount Peter Road. And it's an absolute nightmare down there. And that's some of the things that I'm looking at from an infrastructure perspective and looking at how we can make some of our interconnecting roads safer. What we've seen is the amount of development that we've had out past Mount Peter Road, coming in through to Bicentennial Road, and we're waiting for state government infrastructure upgrades, which haven't been planned, so they're not going to happen for a long time. We need to make these roads safer now, because we are we are waiting. Someone's going to die at one of those intersections. And if we're not going to invest in money into it now from a council perspective, because we still control those roads, we can't wait for the state government to come in and build the new bypasses and stuff. That could be a decade away. We have to be investing the money now on getting pedestrian connectivity so that those kids don't get hit. Bicentennial down at Revisa there, the Bentley Park kids coming out is exactly the same. So we need to start investing the money now.
Can I just ask, when you say going to be a road, are they ever going to put the road from Walker Road to Mount Peter Road? I mean,
Kate, you mustn't have been here earlier, Kate. Shea Road is due to go through, Walker Road to go through Shea Road and connect up.
Do we have a timeline?
About 2026.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait for 2026. We're talking about simple infrastructure upgrades. Simple infrastructure upgrades.
Kay asked a specific question there.
Yeah.
That was about when's that going to connect. We've talked about the pathways and that's what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
So they're two different things.
Yeah.
Okay. So no.
But so as a council, we need to be looking at the infrastructure upgrades now, not in 2026.
Okay.
And then we also have to look at Locomere Road because there's future state plans to upgrade that. The intersection's a nightmare, and what I got told by Curtis Pitt when I went and met with him, it hasn't been planned yet. So we're looking at 10, 15 years before that's upgraded. So we can't leave these infrastructure upgrades on the table as a council and just keep patching up the road and patching up the road and patching up the road. Otherwise it's going to happen. The state government's going to fund it. The state government's going to fund it. We need to action it now. And a kid's going to die, and then we're going to go, oh, shit.
Look, Matthew's talking about some things here. Shea Road is going to go through. It's going to go through in about 2 years. But I take what he said, Bicentennial Road there, where it comes down onto the roundabout. You've probably noticed over the years there's been a whole lot of signage go up around that curve. Any of you ever gone round there, when it's raining and found out that you slide out that way? We put bauxite down on the road there so that you get better grip, that sort of thing. So council can do all sorts of things to try and fix these things. We also moved a bus stop, and I had a guy, actually it was last Sunday, came and see me. His house is the very first one as you come out of going across the bridge and you're going north. He used to finish up with cars in his front yard. They go right through his fence. They've gone through, they smashed the bus stop that was there. We moved it up the road now because someone was going to die there. So I agree exactly with what Matthew's saying. We have to look at these sorts of... The kids coming out of Bentley Park College, there is an underpass there. They don't use it. They run across the road.
Have you been under there?
Hey, yes, I have. I went down because I went to see why they're not going there.
Why?
Hey?
Why?
Because it's very...
It's miserable down there.
Well, it's miserable. And safety. That was the biggest thing given to me, was about safety. But,
a lot of bikes that go on.
a lot of bikes that go on down underneath there. No.
You sell tickets and couldn't stand it.
Yeah. No, I understand. But look, coming back to other things, the road up Mount Peter Road. If you imagine what it was like when I was last the councillor, over the 8 years I was there, we got 5 kilometres of extra paths. So just think of what Edmonton was like before we got those 5 kilometres.
No.
Okay? Because that was the stuff all the way from St Teresa's, back up Roberts Road, all through there, back down Harley Road.
But look at the number of cars now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time.
But man, look at the extra houses that are getting built up the top here. We're getting more and more coming all the time. And the pathways, yes, do we need more? Absolutely we do. But the first thing we have to do when we get into council is get control of the budget, because we don't know how much money we've got to spend and how we're going to take over and get things that the people want and not things that the bureaucrats want.
No.
Sorry. Question of the pool. For those who don't know, in 2020, we had $12 million for that pool to start. 12 million, fully funded. Okay? It was taken, and the current councillor voted with unity to pass that on to allow it to go into the city centre. It's out there on the Esplanade. Mr. Abood did very well out of that pool. And the big thing about it? It was taken out of the 10-year program. Do you know what that means? no more funding was put towards it over this last term of council. So 12 million taken out of here. What was taken out of the other divisions? I mean, I see Brett's building $3 million, planting a heap of trees down there in Kenry Park. That didn't suffer, but our pool did. 6 years it took to building that budget after budget after budget, getting money set aside. That's what it took to get that pool. $3 million from the state, and I thank Curtis because they came on board for that final bit. But all of that money, not just the 3 million, all of it went to the SPA.
Okay, great. Sounds like a pool is necessary and there's more funding needed. Thank you so much for those brilliant questions. We're just coming now to, I think, who was the next person on the list? Here we go. We'll do Perry. Can you go as quick as you can, Perry? And then I'm going to go across there. And then I'm coming... Oh.
My question
Well,
is
I'm
to
going to
Brett.
come here. Would you mind if I come to you fourth? Is that okay, Perry?
Okay, my question is to Brett. Okay, you do green wastage, right? So what happens to all that mulch? And why can't it be sold back to the public to cover the free dumping of green waste?
Yeah, thanks, Barry. The green waste taken at the transfer stations and the green waste and food waste through the Bedminster system is composted, and that's spread on broadacre farms around Cairns. So it's about finding a use for that, so that's working currently. Obviously the challenges going forward is that the Bedminster system comes offline in 2026, so we've got a 2040 strategy to work out how we will deal with our waste. The Bedminster has served us well. We know that there's a waste levy by the state. We've got to have a percentage, 70% diversion from landfill, so this is the strategy that we're working on. But the big issue is about markets for secondary products, whether it's recycled products or compost. At this stage, some farmers are willing to take that compost, so that's a benefit. But waste going forward and resource recovery will be a big challenge for our council.
Is council recovering a revenue stream from that green waste, the compost?
Well, look, everything we do is at a cost recovery basis. So if we don't utilise those farmers that are taking it up, we have to deal with it somewhere else or somehow else at a cost. So we receive a benefit by them taking it.
When you have green waste and it gets all mulched up without the food in it, why can't you sell that back to the public to put in their gardens?
They'd like it. They'd like it.
Did you get the question?
Sorry, why don't we sell it back to the public?
And then that would cover the
okay. With council entering into private enterprise, we have a competitive neutrality policy by state government. We can't compete with private enterprise. And it's the same thing about collections, waste collection. There are a number of commercial collectors out there that we can't go and compete with. So it's called competitive neutrality. And when we enter the private market as a council, we can only do that if there's no other supplier or no one else in the market. So again, just those rules and regulations that you have to be aware of in terms of how council can operate.
Great, thank you for that information. Great question. We're here now, so Sandy, would you mind coming here, and then we're going to come straight over to you.
This is a question for John. John, it's my recollection at the last election you ran.
2020, yes.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on why you didn't win Division 2?
Okay, John, here's a microphone, mate. Let's turn up the volume.
Sandra, look, I can give you one of these and you can read through it and you can see all the things I did. I guess I ran against a man called Pine. It was the COVID election. We weren't allowed to do the sorts of things we're doing now. We couldn't sit around and talk like this. We couldn't do any of this. So at pre-poll, basically we were told to leave our stuff over there and we could wave to you from somewhere across the park and say that. On election day, I think the state told us, as anyone running for council, if you were within 2 kilometres of a polling booth, you were up for a $10,000 fine. People didn't come out and vote. Also, they were frightened, had the bejesus frightened out of them of this so-called COVID virus, which we're now told we can live with anyway. So, you know, you're better than me. I mean, Tommy Pine was on council for 40 odd years, I believe, and he was mayor for how many years? And his son just said, "My name's Pine, I'm a local, I'm the voice of South Cairns," and enough people believed him. That's why, but he's not here now, is he?
No, not today.
And he, look, I'm not aware of anything that he actually attended in this division in the time he was the councillor this time around. Not aware of one single thing, but if you want that answer, I don't know that I could have gone to any more P&C meetings. I don't know that I could have volunteered any more at the PCYC, those sorts of things, or been there for people. If you had to use my services, people, as I said, the guy who came to thank me, the cars don't spin out at Bicentennial Road anymore. You know? What can I say?
Thank you, John. The next question is over here. Would you like to?
Timing is perfect to your question just there. My question is just for the Division 2 councillors. I live in Division 2. So you've done well, and
Sorry, Kate.
I'm everyone here.
Yes. And it sort of ties into that question there about looking at this year. I want to thank all the councillors, by the way, for turning up today. I'm disappointed we didn't have all 6 Division 2 candidates here, but I'm very pleased. Thank you for those of you who did attend. That's great, and we do appreciate it. I do appreciate it anyway. My question is, going on this issue of are you a local resident here in Division 2 or not? So I've got this is very short and sharp. My question is, how long have you lived in Division 2? And I don't need to know the address. What are you on the electoral roll? What's your address in the electoral roll? I don't know the address of the suburb. What's your address in the electoral roll? And how long have you lived here for? If you've lived here for less than 12 months, what suburb did you live in before and how long did you live there?
Okay, all right.
And this is to look at longevity and look at how we can service the Division 2, because we have not had a good service in the last 4 years. As my idea, having lived here, and I want to see that someone's really involved with Division 2 and really wants to get involved with the community and what we need here in the community.
Thank you, Corina. I'm very honest about I'm not living in this division yet. But for the last 18 years, going to 19 years, I spent a lot of my time here because I have worked under a child safety with a child protection in residential houses with DV families, my aged care sector. All my clients are here and I spend a lot of time in Division 2. So,
Do you live here?
I don't live here. I live in the city at the moment. But if I get elected, I will move to where the peoples are. And I think for me, it is very important that I live in this division, right? So I spend a lot of time here and also my families are here. So I'm well connected to Division 2. Thank you.
Great. All right. John?
I'm quite happy to own up. I've never lived in Division 2, but I have built or designed houses down here, and probably upwards of hundreds and hundreds of them. Most people who know me know I was with Mac Construction for quite a long time. Prior to that, I sold homes to Glenwood Homes. Prior to that, David McCoy Homes. Before that, Cairns Corporation, when they were building Billboard Shopping Centre. I've sold homes to them. So, and my son continues to sell homes down here. So I think, I can tell you in 2012 when I went around the community, I found so many people that I built homes for that were taking me inside and saying, we didn't have these children when you built our home, So, yeah, everyone welcomed me into their home. So I don't believe it is critical so long as you're here doing the job. You know how long it takes me to get here from home? 10 minutes. That's nothing. You want to live in a big city and see how long it takes you to get, But Cairns is still a very small place. So I don't ever care where anyone lives. Kesa, if she wants to continue living where she is, I don't see that as a critical issue. I don't see it, with any of the other people here. If they want to live here, that's fine. It's a lovely place to live, and I love coming down here and seeing all the mountains around here. Okay, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
This question always hurts me a little bit because my house couldn't be closer to the divisional boundary of 2 and 3. I live just off Foster Road. Foster Road is the boundary of Division 2, so technically my house is just inside Division 3, but I live in Division 2. I shop at Mount Sheridan, the bakeries, the Bentley Park Bakery, you know, I exercise in Division 2. Well, my whole life lives in Division 2, but technically my house is just off the other side of the border.
When you were elected as a councillor, you were elected by your division, but you were sworn in for the whole of the region. So where you live is not important. When you make decisions, you make decisions on the whole for the whole of council.
Boundaries changed too.
No, I think it's a good point as well. I do live in Division 2. I live in Mount Sheridan. I bought a house here last year. I moved from Brinsmead to Mount Sheridan. But I've made that investment with 3 children for the longevity of living down here, and I think over the time that I've lived here, I've got to know many of you through various different things. I'm very embedded here now. To John's point, I've been in Cairns for about 14 years and I've loved living here and being a member of the Cairns business community, my children's schools community, sports communities, so very, very much committed to the division as well. And yeah, thank you very much for that question.
Thank you for that. Okay, any other questions? We've got the Mayor asking a question, isn't that fantastic? Right. Okay, hang on.
I just wanted to follow on from that discussion. We're controlled by the Local Government Act of Queensland. First and foremost, you are a councillor for the whole of Cairns. That's your number one priority. Secondly, you just happen to represent one division. That's how it works. You don't have to live in your division, but you must first and foremost represent the whole of Cairns.
I'm aware of that. It's just that in our last 4 years, we're not seeing anything, and I want to make sure that whoever is the candidate, or is successful, that you will make sure you service Division 2, which I don't feel we've got the service in these last 4 years. That's all I'm coming from.
Can I totally agree with you?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
And I understand that is it a Local Government Act requirement? Yes, so it's actually a state legislation that's created this scenario, and I actually hear that quite a lot as well, that people are concerned that the democratic principle of representative democracy is being watered down a little bit at the council level. So maybe that could be an advocacy issue for the council to maybe change the rules again, maybe. But yeah, thanks so much for all those responses. Is there any other questions specifically? I might just ask a question just quickly, how each of the candidates feel in this area in regard to the state government's announcement a little while ago and the wraparound services that they've announced just recently in regards to setting up a detention centre in this particular area. Can I get a response from each of the division councillors, and even Division 4 would be great. Thank you.
Last year, I made an appointment to see Honourable Curtis Pitt, just because of talking to so many people on this division. They're coming up with the youth crimes. Community safety is our priority. Curtis, at the moment, he said, no, they're not going to build the youth rehab in Edmonton. They are looking at other places where they can develop the holistic and life skills programs for these children, and I'm fully supporting that. Because for me, I deeply care about these children and I want to help them to be better. So that is in progress. Next week is the cabinet meeting. I'm attending that, and also I'll be attending the premier meeting in the evening next Tuesday. So one of the questions that I'm going to raise with the premier is, to tell us where is they going to build. We need answers. We need to give the people in this area the answers, because there's a lot of assumptions that's going around. So we need to give answers to the people so that they're comfortable and relax about it. So I'll take it up next week and I can come back if he can give us the right answers where they're going to build the youth rehab centre.
And can I ask you the question, would you be in support of a detention centre here, or would you be a no?
I love children and I love to support this youth. My answer is no for the community safety. Yeah, I care about these children, but
What about the children from the local area? Don't they, you recognise it's probably best for them to be rehabilitated in their local community? Or do you want to send them away somewhere else, which a lot of people don't want?
Yes,
do you know, as I was a youth worker 16 years ago, most of the houses that I mentioned before, child safety have a lot of residential houses for these kids, are Edmonton and Bentley Park. Yeah, so and the children are very comfortable in this area. Yeah, because this is where they belong. This is their home, and it's community oriented. This area, they're very comfortable. But it's up to the state government where they're going to build. All I care about is somewhere is peaceful, where they can develop the holistic and life skills program for these children.
Thank you, Kesa. Matthew?
So two-part question, I guess, is the detention centre and the rehabilitation centre are two different items. The rehabilitation centre has 100% been proposed for Mount Peter Road. It's in tender phase. If you read paper today, you'd have a look. I've got an article in there. I went through the consultation process that the government went through, and it is dismal. The consultation was done at the end of COVID. All the submissions that the community sent in regards to it were basically just sideswiped. And a little bit of that goes back to our local representation here. If we've got consultation, things like this coming up, then the councillor needs to be the one that is screaming from the rooftop, come and make submissions, and we didn't have that. So the rehabilitation centre is being built here. There is still issues with it. Secondly, the detention centre. Now, there was one particular candidate who kind of took this and ran with it. It was rumoured to be built at the old Chook Sheds in Edmonton on Mount Peter Road here. However, no decision was made. And so my first thought was, okay, well, I'll go and speak to Curtis Pitt, and I'll talk to him about it. And so I did. And Curtis Pitt looked at me and he was very disappointed that some of the candidates had kind of taken it and run with it, and a lot of fear in the community. And he said to me, they do have a location for it, but he can't tell me until the minister announces it, which will probably happen after the council elections, and the community will be happy with the result. Now take of that what you will from Curtis Pitt, but that's what he's told me. So we don't know yet where the detention centre is going to be placed. Do I think the rehabilitation centre should be in Cairns? Yes, 100%. Do I think it should be in a suburban street in Edmonton surrounded by residential properties? No, I don't. And that's kind of what I was getting through in the paper.
Could you please explain what rehabilitation means in this case?
So I believe it is a residential facility to most mimic a good home situation. So they'll have social workers and stuff like that. One part of my push against the consultation process was that our police struggle to keep hold of young offenders and addicts, and this, what hope do social workers have? And so in the consultation process, that was completely overlooked. It just said, community safety concerns, not a concern, it's 24-hour monitored by social workers. Well, what hope do social workers have? And so going in further, there's infrastructure issues. They said traffic wouldn't be an issue. Well, Mount Peter Road's already swamped, so I don't understand how the traffic management report said that wasn't going to be an issue. House price, nothing was looked at in the consultation process, which is what I took most concerning. So yes, rehabilitation, yes in Cairns, not at a residential suburb. Somewhere more like a diversionary centre, which is located, in a more industrial area, but it's still close to the homes that people are coming from. So.
What about on the way to Yarrabah?
Okay.
So it's been proposed for the detention centre.
So yeah, there's a couple of sites that had been suggested, but anyone else like to respond to that? Is there a yes or no? If you were to be elected, would you be advocating for no detention centre?
Anyone else?
Look, the thing about this, and I'd probably like to refer back to Paul for anyone who wasn't here. All the conditions you put on there, Paul, when you talked about these sorts of things, the responsibility of the parents or the people who were looking after, and that they had to be back in schools, and that they had to be all of these sorts of things. If all of those things can be brought to pass, then I think we could live with it in certain areas, but you're right as well. No one's going to want it right next to their backyard. But we have a lot of land down here on the eastern side of the highway. Plenty of places down there where something like this could be built. It's still within relatively easy distance. If parents or guardians or stuff need to go and visit, there's all of those sorts of things. But Paul had a very good answer, I thought, at the time when he started talking. So long as we tie all this back to education, because it's no good having these. We have these kids in these care houses or whatever you want to call them, and the people who are there supposedly looking after them, they can't do anything. They can't stop them leaving. They don't know where they go.
They drop them off at school at 9 in the morning and wait outside in the car by 10. And teachers have told me, oh, but they're all booked in. I know it's true. And I could even say at school, which I'm not. But they tell them in those houses, don't come back to our place till 4 this afternoon. So they spread themselves out and they go to rain trees all day.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that's the sort of thing that's happening. Can I say anything? And it came up earlier where I think Terry was talking about the bottle shop in town. And I think certainly in town, Paul, the police weren't allowed to sell alcohol, these bottle shops weren't allowed to sell it till a certain time in town.
Yeah, there's opportunities for liquor accords.
Yep.
And there's obviously opportunities to work better with liquor accords. And they never put legislation to support the liquor accords. It was supposed to be a localised decision, but there's no legislative framework to support. So it's a moral obligation.
Okay.
You get 30 licensees say yes, one says no. That one person profiteers at the cost of the other 30. So that's the issue.
I was at Mount Sheridan Shopping Centre last week, and I was talking there to one of the guys who runs the security there, and he said, well, they get around that, they just hop on a bus and come out here and buy it.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, they can't buy it in town, but they can buy it out here at Mount Sheridan, they hop back on the bus and go back in there and drink it.
But it should be individuals, you know, we've got licence for guns, licence for cars. If a person is affected by alcohol, they assault, domestic violence, whatever, they should be banned from alcohol. The individual, all of us, in my view, the Commissioner, whether you're the Prime Minister, we all should have to show ID to buy alcohol.
Look, if I can, we've all seen the use of cards and we've heard about it. So I can just talk about this in a similar way. What Paul's saying, if you had to produce a card to buy alcohol, you know, and whether you're Indigenous or whether you're white, if you're on Centrecare or anything like that, you get something from the government, you should not be able to go and spend your money on things like alcohol or cigarettes or these things. Particularly is what we're finding. Most of these kids, they go home, there's no food in the fridge. You know, we found that at the PCYC. We had a big meeting up there when I was a councillor. We found they had these kids in programs. The programs have been conducted at the PCYC. These kids are passed with flying colours. And the next week, one's out robbing shops here in Edmonton. And he stole all of the donation jars in a few shops along the way. And when they asked him why he did it, he said didn't have any money. And well, yes, well, there's no food at home. I've got to feed my brothers and sisters. Because mum and dad are down the pub or down the pokies. And what do? You know, they thought he was a wonderful kid. He did top this, rehabilitation.
I just want to respond to that. There are programs at Centrelink, which is the organisation that you're actually talking about there, where they do have programs in place for people that live particularly in some communities where they have to pay school nutrition for the kids to have meals. They live on a basic card or a cashless card where they cannot buy alcohol and things like that. It's not a broad system. I believe that it should be, but the essential do-gooders in society don't believe that we should be controlling what people do with their money. Okay? But it should be.
I think if you've shown that you're not able to do it for yourself, I think it's, and especially where children are involved, I think it should be a given. Okay.
anyone else want to comment? Oh, okay, yep, come on forward. And it was my question originally, wasn't it?
We've had a bit of discussion. I know it's getting late in the day, but a lot of the community sentiment, I think, is around the detention centre is not really ideal in a suburban landscape where there's homes, families, children, and people wanting to have livability. By the same token, there is care and compassion for children that need help and services, wraparound services, to make sure that they have a possibility of a good future as well. And so it's kind of balancing, I guess, those considerations. And I do think that there's somewhere in our broader landscape of Cairns where we can provide both to the people that are impacted in this way. And I will say that in this role I've met some outstanding non-government organisations that are doing exceptional work in our community and getting really good outcomes, and they're sometimes the unsung heroes of turning people's lives around. So I think whatever we end up, we need to make sure that there is still hope for the children that become, you know, I guess they live in these environments as well, and so a balanced approach to it, but certainly don't think that the suburbs where our homes, our families and our children are the place for them. Thank you. Excellent, thanks for those responses. And I might just add, if I can, that CJAG actually ran a petition in the community, and the result of that was 2,134 physical signatures on paper. I do wonder whether the councillors or the mayor perhaps would be able to assist us in putting that on the record, at least at the council. Because there's an overwhelming response there for the detention centre not to go ahead. And it is in favour of that relocation sentencing type idea anyway, which Terry tabled here when the mayor candidates were speaking. So if that's possible, we'd be happy to put that on the record. We have that here with us. The intention is that that'll also go to the state level, and the context of that is that it's the serious recidivist offenders that were being targeted with the funding that the previous Premier had announced to be located in Cairns or Townsville, but Cairns was identified as a possible location for the detention centre to accommodate the serious recidivist offenders, for which there's about 30 of those in Cairns. So that's the facility. Supporting the children absolutely is critical, and there's lots and lots of resources in the community that deal with a lot of the children that are involved. But if I can make this point, is that it's the serious recidivist offender who happen to be aged between 10 and 17 years of age that are specifically being discussed in this context. So the petition says that we don't want to have them housed here in Cairns, but perhaps a remote location might be suitable. So I just thought I'd make that point, and I can see a hand going right up at the back there. I think that's Yodi Batsky, is that correct? Yodi, let's hear from you.
So good to see some of the councillors or candidates for the Southern Corridor, and I know some of you are running in teams, and the last term we've had issues where when issues have been brought to the council, a team vote has seen something either pass or not. I want to flag this question to those that are in the teams. First of all, I live in Warrie and been there for 3 years, and whoever you are, I would like to talk to you because I'm challenging Curtis Pitt for the seat of Mulgrave. But one of the things that I want to know from those that are in the teams, when a vote is put on the floor, will you vote with your own conscience, or will you vote for a team? Because the general feeling amongst the public is that they're tired of teams. And they're looking at independence, and they're looking at people willing to stand up to vote for something, not based on a team vote, but on individual standing and values, on their own conscience, on where they see things happening. So I'm just putting it out there to them.
Thank you for that, Yodi. This will be the last question as well. I think it's nearly 5 o'clock, is that right, or 4? Yeah, so we've got to be out of here because they've got to rearrange the seats, but this will be the last question and we'll have to go, guys. Thanks so much.
Timid is independent thinkers, and I think people should vote for the person they think will do the good job, and with their strength, the values as well. That's what I think, Yodi.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Yodi. I've aligned myself with the Unity team because I share their values and their vision for Cairns, but I'll be absolutely voting in the way that I see fit for the people of Division 2. I will tell you that my experience with the Unity team is that they have valued my own thought, what I bring to the table, my expertise, my sense of advocacy and what I think is right for the people that I'll be representing. So I do feel respected by the team, but in the case where there's something I feel strongly about, I'll be voting based on my own thoughts and rationale for the people of Division 2.
Thank you. Okay. Who's next? John? He's an independent, sorry about that. Yes. John's just a walking, talking piece of conscience. Yeah, he's a conscientious guy. Great. Okay. Anyone else there that's on a team that would like to respond? No? Okay. So it's all the responses there. Thank you so much for the question.
John was part of the team. Why aren't you part of the team now?
John. Okay. So, John, just quickly, mate, we've got to go.
Okay. Look, I think I've pretty much said that. I mean, we can go to the Edmonton pool and say that was probably part of it. I think the way that I think back to in 2012 when we got in, we found a council that was disarray. We found the councillors weren't in control of anything. The CEO was running the show, and I think we're back there now. So I wasn't going to run with the team this time around because I didn't think I could do my job in the best way possible.
Excellent, thanks very much. So that's a wrap, guys. Thanks so much for coming. I would encourage you all to support what we're doing here with CJAG. Become a member, become a volunteer, and help us run some more of these events. Thank you.
Can I hand these out, lady? Because you've got some.